Time to replace the irrigation controller. I had a Hunter Pro C. It went out. Taking it down, and I've labeled all the wires. And the way this works, I had a 16 zone Hunter Pro C, and now I have a 16 zone Rachio smart irrigation controller. And I labeled all the wires. Pretty important to do. And they should just pop back into the same numbered labels, plus a couple common wires, and then I have to hook up the rain sensor. Zone 15 has 2 wires. There's a couple zones that have 2 wires. Zone 1. The reason they have 2 wires is some of the control boxes in the ground have 2 solenoids as shown here. So that's the way it was in the old system. Here's the Rachio in the Hunter rain click. So let's talk about this first. This is the rain click I had, and this sits outside. You can mount it wherever. I've had a couple of these before. You don't really want to mount this in the direct sunlight because it'll dry out too fast. Basically, the rain comes inside of here. You can adjust this window to how fast you want it to dry out, and you know, you can probably get 1 to 3 days, maybe 4 days of delay. It wirelessly connects to this device, which plugs into the Rachio controller as an external sensor. I'll show you how to configure this later and to get these two to talk to each other. This is the Rachio smart controller. Nice streamlined little device. It's got a power box with a really long cord on it, and this is inside. It just snaps on. By the way, this is, I guess there's magnets here. That's how this holds on here. This doesn't really snap. It kind of lays in there magnetically and it pops off. You got 2 common lines, an M for a master controller, which I have a master solenoid. It means I have a little solenoid right next to the water main out by the street that I can turn on and off. It'll adjust all the water. It'll turn on or off all the water in the whole, all 16 zones. By the way, I only have 15 zones. I have 1 extra one. And 2 common lines, and then sensor 1, sensor 2, and then some power lines that I'll be using for this Hunter rain click device on sensor 1. And I'll show you how to set up the Wi-Fi and all that later, but what we're going to do first, oh yeah, there's a power input here too with this little cord. So I'm going to install it physically, number 1, and then part 2, I'll show you how to program and configure everything. And this is a manual configuration. You hold buttons, and this will be a app and a web page configuration. You can access this from an app and a web page. There's really no buttons on the outside. You can advance this and start it, that's it, but there's no programming schedules and zones and rain delays and all that. All that's done through the app or the website. Okay, so let's get it installed. So this is where I'm going to install the irrigation controller, and then the rain click antenna will go up here, but the actual rain click device I'm going to put out here. I have my manual rain gauge here. Gotten a lot of rain lately, about 10 inches. And if you notice on the ground, it's shade here. And so I'm going to put it up here, facing out, has pretty good clearance up top. You get the rain. Yeah, I guess if the rain's blowing from here, it'll cut it down. But I've tried it, old ones, in a lot of places around the house, and I just don't want the thing sitting in the sun and drying out. And so most of the sun is going to be blocked by the tree. So I'm going to put it right here and give it a try on the other side of this fence. I've pre-drilled 3 holes, and I've got some inserts, some little mollies to hold in the screws, and this one's going right into the wood. Make sure you get your stud finder and you're not working with electricity. You know, I do have an electric wire right here. And so I checked all this. There's no electricity current right around here, but don't start drilling unless you know what's behind here. I have a stud right here. I was pre-fitting this, and when I was designing this, where to put it, there's a lot of wire coming out of this tube, and it's really bunched up. So I'm going to cut some of these back. Otherwise, it's going to be a little painful to get all of that wire inside of here and get the top on securely. Yeah, I may lose that much wire, but I still have this whole pipe worth, and this doesn't really pull out. It goes to the outside, but that's the risk I'm going to take. So I'm going to probably cut about 4 inches off of these wires to make some space. Get that wire off number 2. And then these go in really easy. Push this little tab here. I'll use the help of a screwdriver. Your fingernail will probably work well. Push it in the hole. Good to go. Clamps down, make sure you're on the wire and not the insulation. Okay, let's repeat that 15 times. There's the master valve right here. By the way, you can also just push these in and pull them a little bit and they'll catch. Okay. And I don't know if I mentioned, there's actually 2 common here and 2 common here, so you have options for 4 common wires. Cut these back a little bit. You can see how much space I have. I've cut a lot of wire out of this thing. And also I have 2 wires that are not used. I don't know what those are for. They weren't connected on the Hunter, so maybe that was for proposed zone 16. Maybe I'd see some wires outside in the wire collection box. I'm not sure. I'll just stick them down in here. Okay, now we could technically test this. I have programmed it already, so I'm going to test it, but then I'm going to reset it and then show you how to program it from scratch. But I need to make sure 9 is not 6 and 6 is not 9. So I'm going to plug it in and give it a quick test. Everything checked out. So now I'm going to connect the rain click sensor. Let's first actually test that everything fits here and can be held on simply with the little magnet. You can see all the wires I pull out, cut off. It was just kind of cramped in there. It's a very small form factor. Okay, still poking out a little bit. Let me unplug it. Push these in. Flatten them out. There we go. Nice fit. Got 1 screw to attach this. Okay. Now this is a antenna to the click. If your rain click is real far away, you might want to put this, for instance, on the inside of the window or somewhere where it's not obstructed, but mine's going to be 4 feet away, so this will work fine. Okay, so just to hold that wire a little bit in place, this is going to come over here and hook in here, so I want it a little bit straight and not bunched up. I think what I'm going to do is go behind here, these wires. The way it's not interfering with the cover. Okay, come in underneath here. And let's read how the rain click has to attach to the Rachio. Okay, if you look at the Rachio site and search for rain click under support, and then there's some other FAQs and people's problem reports, you'll see they say the blue one goes to sensor 1, and then a white and yellow pair go to 24 AC negative, and then the last yellow one goes to positive. Need a little bit more room here. Okay, we're good to go. Now this orange one doesn't do anything, and it just hangs there. It's not used. I'm just going to cut this off. I'll put a little piece of tape on that. I just don't like wires hanging around. Okay, we've got that connected. Let's double check the fit again. This is going to come around here underneath. Poofed out somewhere. Here we go. That's still not perfect fit. Let's go behind these wires with this guy. There we go. Maybe not. One more time. That's why I cut these wires off. There we go. Okay. Now it's assembled. So now we have Rachio controller. We got the plug ready to go. We got the sensor wired, and we tested that. Now we're going to learn how to program it. First thing I'm going to program is set up the rain click external device here. Step number 1 is we're going to hold underneath here. We're going to hold this bypass button on. We're going to plug it in. And then this bottom light, which is usually green or red, is going to turn to orange. And to turn to orange, you're supposed to click this black button, hold it, and it'll connect the signal to the antenna. Let's see how that works out. It gets its power, so it gets orange. And then we hold this thing. And it turned green. Bingo. If we push this, it should turn it off for a second. This is dry. It should turn this sensor off for a second. And you should see a light on the bottom here. Let's push this little black button again. See the light? Turned it red. But this should come back on. Yeah, it's dry. It went back to green. If you want to manually override this, like if you think you don't have enough water but this thing is not drying out fast enough, you can come up here and push this button, bypass. So that's telling the Hunter receiver is telling this guy, ignore my signal. And the Rachio will run according to however you have it programmed. And now the status is on, so that means where I put this, it's ready to take rain, sending a signal that it thinks it's too wet. There's no measurement of how much water it takes to turn this off. It just goes in the top here. I don't know which side it goes in, don't really care, but I am going to turn this down so it dries slowly. Okay. I just got a self-tapping screw, put it in here, and it went right through this fence material. It's not very difficult to do. And there's my sensor. You can see it's in the sun right now. If you look up, that's the window of the sun right there. So I have a clear space for the rain to hit, and it's only from right to here where I have to worry about it drying out too fast. Okay, you see we're in the green state on the Hunter. So since this rain click is new, I'm going to test it. We've had a lot of rain, getting a bunch more rain tonight. I'm going to wet it down. I don't know how much it takes. Probably not that much. That should take a second for its little sensor to go off, and I should see a red light come on in the Hunter. Walla walla, it's sensed. See the red light? Okay, and that's going to tell this guy delay until he says stop. And I'm just going to keep an eye on that, see how long it takes to dry out. Hopefully it's a couple of days. Yeah, I took that plastic down. This thing didn't look nice, so I just tie wrapped a piece of PVC. I need another one, so it keeps everything out of the way. I got tools coming down this wall. There's a gap where the controller is, but I just don't want it messed up. And the last thing I'm going to do, or what I've done, is I don't want this thing to get all skanky or this. So for this guy, I just cut some plastic, and I got my heat gun out, my little press. I'm going to make a little hood for it, just to keep something on top so it doesn't build up with dirt. There's a hood. I think there's a box for this, or I could probably get some kind of electronics project box. I just haven't done it, but I wouldn't mind all this enclosed, including the wire. But that's good for now. And that's with all my tools back. You're thinking, man, that's cramped. I don't have to go here because it's all programmed with the app or with the browser. Every once in a while I'll push that button, but it's only if I'm messing around with the system. So as long as people put the tools back carefully, don't mess with the plug. It's out of the way. It's a nice device. Okay, the only way to program it manually is you have left and right. You can see the little light moves along the zones, and you can start it. This is start pause. You can see it running out there. Zone 14. Hope you can see that. Okay. And then you can stop it, and it's off. This is start pause, so let's go zone 6, start it, zone 5, pause it, and then stop it. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to adjust this light right here, brightness of the light too.